Hi everybody and welcome to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Laura.
And today we're going to be talking about a famous and very fun party activity. So what are some party games that you either enjoyed as a kid or still enjoy?
I actually love card games like Uno or Uno. I don't know how people say this.
Uno, usually.
And then Twister.
Oh,
is that
yeah.
the thing that where your arm and your legs you have to be placed on different
left foot on a red, left arm on the green, and you're twisting all over.
Those are fun, but they can be challenging too.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit old and stiff for that kind of. I just fall over on the first one. My family had a fun game. This is kind of silly, but you would get a bowl and fill it with flour and turn it upside down, so you've got like a little, like a dome of flour. You put a coin in the very top of the middle of the flour, and everybody gets like a cake knife or something, and they have to cut away a bit of the flour. So I cut one, I pass the knife. They cut one, they pass the knife. You cut the flour away. Now,
I get that.
Whoever makes the whole flour dome kind of collapse and the coin drop, that person has to get the coin out with their teeth.
Ooh, that's
so they have to put the face in the flour. So yeah, very, very fun, very silly.
It's
very
silly.
Messy. Yes, very messy game. But my family has a whole bunch of very kind of silly, fun games like that.
That's like apple bobbing too. You got to, kind of bite things out.
Yeah, but best done outside or put a rug down or something. Now, this game we don't do, but maybe we should. It's playing with a piñata. Let's read about what this is all about.
Reading.
The wonderful tradition of the piñata. There are many things that might come to mind when we think of Mexico. It's a very colorful country with lots of culture and history. The thing we're going to look at today somehow manages to combine violence and children's parties in a fun way. At parties all around Mexico, blindfolded kids spend time swinging bats at breakable models called piñatas, hanging from ceilings. If the kids are successful in breaking the model, candy will drop out to be eaten. Traditionally, piñatas were made of clay and covered with paper mache. They were made to look like stars with 7 points, one for each of the 7 deadly sins. These days, piñatas are usually just made with paper mache and come in many designs. The piñata still has bright colors, which symbolizes the temptation to give in to the sins. The bat is the will to beat sin, and the blindfold stands for belief. It's said that the candy inside the piñata comes from heaven.
So our article starts by saying there are many things that might come to mind when we think of Mexico. We'll actually be talking about this question a bit more in our chat question later on, but let's look at the phrase to come to mind. If something comes to mind, then it just pops into our heads as a result of usually not thinking too hard about something. Somebody says a word, could be a name, a country, a thing, and then what's the first thing you think of? What's the first thing you kind of imagine a picture of when you do that? For example, if someone said, oh, like the UK, what would be the first thing that comes to mind?
Oh, I'm going to say Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah, bless her. Or you might say, it could be tea, could be
for sure.
football, could be whatever. Australia.
Okay.
What comes to mind?
Kangaroos, koalas.
Exactly. Yeah, but a big, giant country with hot sun.
Vegemite for me though. OK， 我们来看一下 come to mind 这个片语，刚刚一直有提到，就是浮现脑中或者是有记起的意思。那刚刚课文当中我们有提到一个国家就是 Mexico 墨西哥，所以课文是说呢，当我们想到墨西哥的时候呢，有很多东西会在脑海中浮现，我们可能会想到或是联想到一些事情。
Yeah, there are lots of things you could think of. As the article says, Mexico is a very colourful country with lots of culture and history. Now, of course, we can use the word colourful to mean something that has a lot of colours. Colourful flowers, colourful clothes, that kind of thing. And yeah, sure, Mexico has lots of colours in its nature and whatever. But here we're kind of using colourful to mean interesting, exciting, with a lot of variety, with a lot of different things that make you go, oh, that's cool, that's different, that's really interesting. For example, you might say, Anthony is a colourful character who's always having unusual adventures.
Wow.
Yeah, he's not kind of like, oh, he just goes to work, goes home, eats dinner, watches TV. There's always something a little bit different going on with him. He's never quite doing the same thing week in, week out. It's kind of a colourful life that he leads.
我们刚刚有提到 colorful life， 或者是 Anthony 他的个性是很 colorful。这里呢不是在指字面上的意思，说有很多颜色的哦，它有着富有趣味的啦，很 interesting， 或者是丰富多彩的这样的意思，它是一个形容词。那如果我要形容哇，真的是很多颜色的，我可能会想到花园哦。The garden is full of colorful and fascinating flowers。OK， 然后所以课文呢，刚刚整句是在说，哇，这个墨西哥是一个有很多文化和历史的丰富多彩的国家哦 ，for sure.
Right, now here's an unusual sentence. The thing we're going to look at today somehow manages to combine violence and children's parties in a fun way.
Okay, violence in a fun way.
Yeah, violence and kids' parties. Now, you might not think these should be mixed together, but somehow it works. Let's find out how and why we use the word somehow. The word somehow is an adverb and it's used to show that we're not exactly sure how a particular thing happens, what the reason or where and how we got from point A to point B in a particular story or a set of events. It happened, there's no denying that, but we're not exactly sure how. How do we get here? It happened somehow. We can't really explain it. For example, even though she got up late, Betty was still somehow on time for work. We're not exactly sure what she did, but she still did it.
Somehow 这个副词就是不知怎么地。举例来说 ，Don't worry, we'll find our phone somehow. It's probably somewhere in your house or something. That happens to me all the time. I'm very forgetful.
Okay. Well, you'll manage to find it, and this party game manages to combine violence and fun. To manage to do something is to do something difficult successfully. We wouldn't say, oh, I managed to put my shoes on this morning.
No.
Unless, for example, you had like a broken leg. Then it would be difficult. You say, it was difficult, but I managed to get my shoes on. So we use this phrase for something that takes a lot of effort or time. It's not easy.
Manage to do something 通常是设法做到某一件比较困难的事情，所以就不像是像刚刚Pat老师补充说，如果你每天早上很轻松的穿上鞋子这种不费力的事情，我们就不会用 manage to do something. And we also mentioned violence, didn't we?
Yeah, violence and kids' parties. Well, kids' parties is simple. Violence, this is actions or events where people are fighting. They're hitting, they're hurting each other, they're hitting things. We could talk about the violence of nature, like a powerful storm or an earthquake, but generally we're using it to mean like, oh, these two people had a fight, these two groups of people had a fight, there was a war, something like that. So you might say, police were called when violence broke out between the two groups of sports fans. They just didn't like each other. They started fighting. There's the violence, so the police came.
Wow, I can imagine that happening sometimes. Okay, violence， 我们提到这个就是会想到暴力啊，或是暴力行为，这是一个名词哦，它的形容词是 violent。OK， 那我们想到是有一些电影，它如果有一些暴力啊，或者一些不 OK 的，就是枪杀或者是谋杀，那你可能就要这样子去提醒人哦。This movie contains lots of violence, so kids should not watch it. 我们来看一下课文翻译提到，就是今天我们要看的东西，不知怎么的，竟然以好玩、有趣的方式结合了暴力以及小孩的 parties 派对。Interesting.
So let's learn more. The article says, at parties all around Mexico, blindfolded kids spend time swinging bats at breakable models, called piñatas, hanging from ceilings. Few words to look at here. The kids are blindfolded. That's the adjective form. It means they are wearing a blindfold, something over their eyes, so they can't see.
我们先来看看，刚刚有提到一个单字 blindfolded 这个形容词，就是被蒙住眼睛的。而其实文章的用法就是blindfold 的过去分词当做形容词用，就是蒙住什么什么的眼睛。
So the kids are blindfolded. There's a whole bunch of games where kids can't see and they have to walk around. There's they sit on somebody and guess who they're sitting on. They try and find people or chase people. All kinds of fun. Here, though, they're swinging a bat. Ooh. To swing is to move something in a circle, an arc, or just back and forth, okay? You could talk about, as you're walking, kind of swinging a bag in your hand. You could talk about a door swinging open and closed. And here's another example. The baseball player swung his bat hard and scored a home run.
Woohoo! Swing 这个动词刚刚也出现在句子当中，就是挥打、挥动。我们来认识一下它的动词三态的变化。Swing, swung, S-W-U-N-G, swung 一样的哦，所以它的过去式跟过去分词是 swung. For example, don't swing your bag back and forth. You might hit the person walking behind you.
Yep, and of course, swing can be a noun. It's the thing you sit on at a park and go forward and back on. And they're swinging at this kind of breakable model. If something is breakable, it is made to be broken. It's not supposed to just stay in one piece. If you think of the things they use in movies or plays, they make bottles that you can hit on things and they will break. Special glass so that you can use it. It is supposed to break when you just tap it lightly. It's not real glass. It's breakable glass.
I wonder what it's like if you just tap it and it breaks it.
I've used one of those bottles. Right? Somebody hit me on the head with it in a play.
Did it hurt?
Not really.
I've always wondered about this.
It feels like a hard tap. It does make a lot of mess though.
Okay, 我们来看一下刚刚有提到 breakable. 我们都知道动词 break 是打破啊、打碎。Breakable 就是能打碎的，它是一个形容词，所以字尾 able A-B-L-E 跟动词连用的时候就会构成形容词，表示可怎么样的，能怎么样的。所以回到课文，它是提到说，在墨西哥的派对，蒙着眼睛的孩子们，他们会用棒子击打这个易碎的模型。那这个东西叫做 piñata， 它是从天花板垂掉下来的。
So the kids swing the bat at this breakable model, and we see if the kids are successful in breaking the model, so if they hit it nice and hard in the middle, it will break open, and the article says candy will drop out to be eaten.
Yummy.
So, yeah, it's just full of candy, full of sweets, chocolates, and so on. Smash it open, all the goodies come out, and then you eat it.
I think kids love this.
Yeah, great fun.
You can actually get to hit something and then eat yummy candy. 所以课文提到的是，如果小朋友成功的打破这个模型，糖果就会掉出来，那这个是就可以大家吃喽。
So we see in the article, traditionally, piñatas were made of clay and covered with papier-mâché. Okay, we'll talk about what that is in a moment. Let's talk about the clay part. Clay is a special kind of mud. It's the kind of mud that's used to make bricks, pottery. You could use it to make cups and plates and stuff. Go up to Inga, there's all the clay museum where you make that kind of stuff. For example, we could say there is clay outside the village, so the locals make a lot of pots to sell.
Nice. OK, 我们来看一下，刚刚有一直提到这个 clay 是什么呢？就是粘土啦，它是一个名词。 举例来说 ，This craft shop looks great. It's full of clay and paints.
Of course, yeah, you can make stuff out of
Yeah.
clay in an art project. And if you're doing art, you might also use papier-mâché. This is where you get lots of torn up paper. When I was at school, it was always old newspapers. And you mix that with a little bit of glue or some kind of sticky stuff so it kind of gets into a mess and it will then go hard. And so when it's soft, you make the shape, you leave it to dry and it gets hard. It's just another kind of material, but it's very simple to make because you're just using old paper.
I miss art class. OK, papier-mâché 是什么呢？就是混凝纸浆，这是一个名词哦。所以回到课文提到，就是传统上来说呢，这个 piñatas 它是用粘土做的，然后用混凝纸浆覆盖着。OK， 所以听起来大家应该会有点概念它是怎么做的哦。
Okay, but what kind of shape were they? Well, the article explains they were made to look like stars with 7 points. And there's a reason for this. 1 meaning 1 point for each of the 7 deadly sins.
OK， 所以我们现在来看它的形状了。它们呢原本就是要做起来像是有7个尖端哦，这里的 point 指的是尖尖的地方，尖端的星星。那这些尖端就是代表着7原罪，也就是刚刚有提到的 the 7 deadly sins。那其中的 deadly 就是致命的。所以 the 7 deadly sins 又称为7宗罪，是天主教教义中所提到的人类的恶行，像是有 greed 贪婪啦，或是 gluttony 就是暴食，或者是 sloth 就是非常的懒惰 ，OK， 然后还有傲慢 pride， 还有嫉妒 envy 愤怒 wrath。还有色欲 lust，OK， 那在天主教的教义当中，这7项罪行被视为是其他罪的根源。
Yeah, all of these are, of course, the bad things that people should avoid. So that was how they used to look. The article says, these days, piñatas are usually just made with papier-mâché and come in many designs. So yeah, clay's a bit kind of rarer. We use clay for too many other things. We don't want to keep taking it out of the ground. And it's a bit harder. Papier-mâché is easier to make and break. And we say these days. This means in modern times. So it doesn't mean like in the last sort of few years. This is probably in the last kind of 100 years or so. But in modern times compared to older times.
OK, these days 我们常常看到这样子用法，其实它指的就是现在如今。那我们都知道动词 come 有很多意思哦，可是在本课意思是被供应、被出售或是被生产，所以常见的用法是 come in 后面我们可以接某一个形状、尺寸或就是颜色，就是某个东西它有什么的颜色啦、什么形状等等。所以课文提到的是说，如今呢 piñata 它通常是用这个混凝纸浆做的，并且有很多的设计的款式哦，因为我觉得比较好制作，就直接这样子还可以打碎，很快。
One thing that's common is the piñata still has bright colors, which symbolizes the temptation to give in to the sins. So this word symbolize means to be a symbol of something, to represent something. Just as each of the points on the star symbolize one of the sins, the bright colors that you go, ooh, bright, shiny, I like it. This symbolizes or represents the kind of temptation to go, yeah, I'm going to give in. I will do the sins. I'll do the bad things.
Symbolize 这个动词就是象征、代表的意思哦。And temptation.
Yeah, it symbolizes the temptation to do something. Temptation is the feeling that you want to do something or have something, even though you know it is bad, it's wrong, you shouldn't do it.
Eating lots of chocolate. Okay.
That's not wrong.
Really?
If that's wrong,
okay.
I don't want to be right.
Don't get fat though. Okay. Temptation 这个名词就是诱惑、引诱。所以 temptation to do something 就是做什么东西的诱惑。所以课文是提到哦，现在呢，他们还是就是piñata还是有很鲜艳、很亮的颜色呢。其实这也象征着 人们的诱惑，然后对于这个罪恶的屈服。Oh, okay, interesting. I didn't know this.
Yeah, so temptation could be the thing you want or the feeling that you want it, and to give into it means to allow yourself to be tempted, going, oh, that chocolate is a temptation. All right, I give in, I want it. Or it could just mean to stop resisting. Your friend keeps going, oh, come to the movies, come on, come to the movies. All right, I will give in to you, I will come to the movies.
OK， 我们来看一下 give in to something or somebody， 就是对某个事物啦，或是某个人妥协、让步、屈服这样的意思啦。
So that's what the piñata means, but the bat, the article says, is the will to beat sin. Okay, to go, no, no temptation, smash you. And the blindfold stands for belief. Blindfold, of course, is just this mask or piece of cloth that covers the eyes.
我们之前有学到 blindfolded， 就是被蒙着眼睛。这里的 blindfold 就是蒙眼部或是眼罩，所以课文是说棒子是要打击罪恶的意志力，而这个 blindfold 也就是眼罩是代表这样的信仰。
And in the article we read it said that the candy inside the piñata comes from heaven.
Wow.
Of course, heaven, if you're talking religious stuff, it's the place good people go after death. But we can also use it in a more figurative sense, like, wow, this place is heaven. This is lovely here. It's great. So we might say to somebody, don't worry about your grandma. She's in heaven now with the angels.
OK, heaven 就是有天堂或是天国的意思，它是一个名词哦。没错，就像刚刚他说 ，It is believed that good people will go to heaven after they die。那课文是说，有人说这 piñata 里面的糖果是来自于天堂哦。
Okay, there's more religious reasons to talk about piñatas, but we'll save that for tomorrow, and let's go to our For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
So our question is, and I'm very interested to learn this, what are some party traditions in Taiwan?
I don't really think we have a tradition. I mean, we celebrate holidays a lot. Yeah, but with parties, we just do our own thing. Like if it's a costume party, we just dress up and have fun.
Yeah, birthday party, you'll have a cake, but that's not,
it's not a tradition.
Taiwanese tradition as
exactly.
such. That's pretty global. There are some traditions for their own holidays, I suppose, like the barbecues and moon festival.
That's right.
Egg balancing for dragon boats.
That's the ones I could think of. There are more
party
festivals.
What about for kids? There must be something that kids do. You know, so maybe a song, maybe some food that they get given.
I can't think of any on top of my head because what we do is like whatever we want to do like, at our party. So it's not like a national thing.
Okay, that is quite interesting. There aren't such strong
traditions. But we eat a lot. We always eat things.
Of course, this is Taiwan.
Yeah. 一直吃，一直吃。
Plenty of food, plenty of chatting, plenty of eating, plenty of stuff like that. Okay, well, maybe we should get some piñatas for our next birthdays. But we'll learn more about these tomorrow. Join us for that. See you then. Bye for now.
Vocabulary Review.
Colorful. My friends are a really colorful group. They're all so different, but so cool. Somehow. Eva got up 30 minutes late this morning, but somehow made it to work on time. Violence. Carrie doesn't like seeing violence in movies, so she avoids films that show people getting hurt or killed. Swing. Thomas wanted to improve his baseball skills, so he focused on how he was swinging his bat. Clay. Jonathan went to Inga to try making pots out of clay. It was a fun experience for him. Heaven. Some people believe that if you are good in life, you'll go to heaven after you die.
智慧小补帖
Blindfolded. Paper mache. Symbolize. temptation.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net